All right. What is up, everybody? I see we have Alpha Alves in here. How's it going? Today we've got a special guest on, and that is Sango. So, Sango, how's it going today?
Yeah, all good, thanks. All good. Glad to be here.
We're excited to have you on, and I know we've only got you for 30 minutes. So for anybody watching, we will, just go over again the details for contest number 5 a little bit later. But for the first part of this, just wanted to bring Sango on. And actually, right now, we're looking at one of his wearable sets on top of a very unique Halloween experience that he and some others have developed. And then we will also look at one of the current wearable models he has been working on. So, yeah, I see Slater just posted the link in a chat to where we are in Decentraland if you want to hop in and experience it yourself. But Sango, do you want to just start us off with a little bit about you and how you got into Decentraland?
Yeah, sure. So, about 15 years ago, I was into like MMO RPG games and private servers, making my own textures and models for in there. And I was really into my 3D back then, learning through that, and then kind of left it for a while. And I've always been into art and stuff between then and now. And then in late 2015, early 2016, I got into cryptocurrencies. So that kind of opened the door. That's like foot in the door towards NFTs, and got into NFTs end of 2019, I think it was. Just by seeing the art that was out there at the time. It was early, so everything was just really pixelated stuff that's just shocks you that it's even selling. Most of them, thinking back now, most of it was probably just like wash trades getting them up in the top spots or whatever, and it made me think, oh yeah, I think my art can shine here if all these things are as well. So then I stepped into like creating a bit of art, and through that, getting more familiar with NFTs, it led me towards Decentraland, and it just really amazed me in those kind of days. Anyone you met was a developer in some sort of way, so you're always meeting these like creative, exciting individuals, no matter where you went. And yeah, it was the events that were there. It was quiet, but everyone was like they all had their own value. So I met a guy called Zoo. We hit it off and ended up making Metazoo together, which is like it's a bit of an all-rounder really. We hold events, so the current scene you see now and that DCL Curations is in, that's our Halloween build, or half of it. We make events, we do Friday night events. We've been going, I think, 81 or 82 weeks in a row now. So we could even be one of the longest running Metaverse events. Along with that, we build wearables and scenes for other people, and Zoo takes care of a lot of back-end stuff and a lot of coding stuff. I do the kind of design and 3D work for that.
I think you and Zoo and Cozy were some of the first people I probably met in Decentraland, just because like the zoo has always been around since I was there. I remember the old zoo, and that was mind blowing at the time. And now some of the stuff you guys are working on now is really mind blowing. So it's awesome to kind of hear about your backstory and what you previously did and how you got into Decentraland. But yeah, it is very interesting, especially back in the day. Everybody that was here was developing, except me. I was learning, and now I'm developing.
You're still doing your own thing, though. I'm pretty sure you were like getting people sales and like taking care of that side of things as a kind of little side hustle, weren't you?
Yeah, I was. I was doing whatever I could here and there.
That's it, and that's a skill in its own, having that entrepreneurship and kind of go ahead to get it. Like a lot of creatives like me, we need that kind of aspect to a team at times to bring it forward into full fruition, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I know we've worked on a few things, especially this wearable here. I do want to quickly though shout out. I see Yuri, Erica Gloom, 9A7A all hopped in. What is up? If anybody has any questions for Sango throughout this, please pop it in chat. But Sango, I guess, yeah, you guys with Metazoo, like you said, you guys do a lot of different things. Oh, I see Alpha Angels in here. Whoa, what's up? Hey, how's it going? Oh, and there's Sango. Oh, dude, those, okay, so oh man, I love that Halloween outfit. Like it reminds me of oh, what is it? Like the movie where it's got the song "This is Halloween, this is Halloween."
Yeah, Nightmare Before Christmas.
Nightmare Before Christmas.
I took a lot of inspiration from Tim Burton on this build and the character as well.
Okay. Oh, and look at that pumpkin head. Man, oh, yo, what's up, Love Gotchi? So yeah, talk to us a little bit about this build, because you guys constantly change out builds with different themes. I know you have multiple locations, but like last Halloween, you had something completely different. So I guess each year and for each special event you guys do, how do you guys like determine what the theme of it is going to be, and then approach actually building and deploying?
Well, with that, it's kind of free, really, because it's just whatever I feel like I'll design, and then I'll let Zoo know a few key points, like I want people to go through this door and end up into this second build, or I need a teleport from here to there, and then he'll come in, put screens around, put lights in. Sometimes I'll make lights in this build here. Zoo did all the lighting. So yeah, it's really free, just being able to do my own thing. So on this build, it's really inspired by Tim Burton, because I've always loved his kind of style. So if you go into the outside scene, the actual building is this outside build is based on Edward Scissorhands. So you might recognize the bright coloured houses, and that main house there is based on the Edward Scissorhands mansion. So that was kind of the inspiration. Then I thought, after making the character, I had the idea to have it like a kind of pencil sketched black and white character, because it's always more creepy when it's in black and white, isn't it? So try to apply that to the inside as well.
For the pencil sketching, did you personally create, all the textures here, or how did you go about that process, and how did you make it so consistent between, what you were applying to the wearable for the event and then what you were applying to the build for the event?
Yeah, so it's I'm basically using my tablet and what's it called, Substance Painter, and there's quite a few brushes for for kind of like hatching and that kind of stuff. And once you layer them up, it gets a real realistic feel to it. So I've quite enjoyed trying that. It's the first time I've ever tried that kind of style. And yeah, I think it turned out quite well.
This looks really sick, man. Like, and it looks like are those actual divots for the eye sockets and then eyeball? Yeah. Man, just small stuff like that really makes it pop that much more. So you started off with the wearable and then kind of went with that vibe and applied that to the interior, or was it vice versa?
Yeah, so I started with the wearable. Once I was happy with that, I was like, yeah, I really like this style, so let's try the inside build in this similar kind of style here. So I've created those tiled textures for the walls. Yeah, and everything else isn't tiled, but I just sat there sketching over it. It's quite like Substance Painter is quite a powerful program, and you can basically just draw straight onto the model, and it has layers just like Photoshop as well, so it's really handy. So
you can draw straight onto the model.
Yeah. So if anyone's a wearable creator or any sort of builder in 3D, I think it's only like $160 for the year. So it's definitely worth looking into.
When you say you can draw directly on top of the model, because like every time I look at a texture, right, I always think like, oh, now you've got to unwrap that texture and you've got to manipulate that in the UV editor to match where you want it on the body. But so you can actually just draw like what you want directly onto the body.
Yeah, you still need to unwrap the UVs, but how it works is, so you've unwrapped it, and then when you're in Substance Painter, it's as if you didn't even do that. So like the old way would be unwrap the UVs and draw straight onto the flat UVs, whereas here you can unwrap the UVs, draw straight onto the model, and the model, the program Substance Painter will decipher where that needs to go onto the UVs to make it come through.
That is pretty cool. There's so many awesome things out there, and I feel like I can never learn them all. But every day I learn a little bit more about one of them. And I know we're at about the 15-minute mark. So I don't know if you're prepared to do something like this, but maybe if you could show a little bit of that Substance Painter in Blender or how that works, that would be really cool. But if not, then if we could just go over to the current model, talk about it, kind of some of the ideas that went into creating it, or anything that any troubles that popped up while you were working on it.
Yeah, sure. We can go ahead into Substance Painter for a bit first, if you want.
Yeah, cool.
I'll show you how I made the tiled one.
Huh?
I'll show you how I made that tiled texture for the walls.
Yeah, I'd love to know that.
It's something that can be applied to a lot of stuff like wearables. You want tileable textures and stuff. I think it's a very handy technique to know. So what I've got here is I just opened up a plane in Blender. I copied it 4 times to the right, and then copied that line of 4 times down, or something like that. But as long as you got more than 3 either way, then you can start doing this. So on the right, I've got the UV, and another thing is each one of those tiles all have the same square UV overlaid of each other. So when you come over to Substance Painter, once I just got to plug in my tablet.
It's okay. Sandstorm has amazing background music while we wait.
Right, so that should be on there. So what I'd normally do to get the kind of pencil texture, I'll put a fill layer in, take that down to black, put the roughness all the way up, and then I'll put a black mask over that. So, and then we start drawing in on the mask rather than on the color. So when you start drawing, if you pick on the left here, you've got brushes. So there's a lot of different ones like fibers is a good one. I quite like these hatching ones as well. So if we grab, say this one, scale that down a bit. So as you see, I've done something on the right there, and then it's all tiled 4x4 on the left, because that's it's this copied 4 times in either direction basically. So once you know where your lines are, then you can start doing it on the left side, and then it will come through.
Interesting.
So this way you don't get those nasty seams between it. And you can even go ahead and use alphas as well. So that's just a black and white image. Just there you go. That could be used as like a texture for a skirt or trousers, a shirt or whatever. You instantly get that tileable texture. So I'm just using those kind of techniques for the wall, and really going in on. So you see the main character in this build, the big like black ghost kind of thing. I was just sketching over and over
Like
to this.
where the thing that holds the screens.
Yeah, I'll see if I open that up.
So yeah, like how does this transition to being painted directly onto a model?
So I'll just load up that now if it wants to. There we go. So yeah, so here obviously what I was just doing before, that was a flat plane. So here's a 3D model. So I could go through and I'll make a new layer and we'll make that red just so it's more visible on top of the black.
That looks really cool, red. I like that look right there.
Yeah, so now you can just come through.
What?
Draw directly on, even though you see on the left here, on the right even, sorry, you see how it's going over the UV maps and just putting it down there instead of going into nowhere space. So everything's all coherent.
Oh, that is so efficient.
Yeah, so combine a few of your So obviously, because I plugged in my tablet while Substance Paint was already open, it's not giving me pen pressure. Whereas if I had pen pressure, then it'll be, especially if I was on the black, then it'll be going through the shades of grey, depending on how hard I'm pressing it. Yeah, it really does feel like pen on paper, really, when you start working like this.
This is starting to look quite demonic, I think. It kind of reminds me of like Venom from Spider-Man. And there was one other game that I used to play all the time. I'm forgetting the name of it right now, but I think it was Divinity. It reminds me of one of the scenes from Divinity right now with those red like veins coming through. This, like, I think you might have just improved it, sporadically.
Oh yeah, what's that film that's all black and white and then you get the red bits?
The Ring? Is The Ring black and white?
No, I think, is it Hellraiser or something?
Hellraiser? Possibly.
I think it's just the blood that's red in the film.
I might have to...
Yeah, that's it.
I'm gonna have to go watch Hellraiser. It is well, I guess it's after Halloween.
It's in Sin City. Slater just said it in the chat there.
Oh, what was it?
Sin City.
Sin City.
Yeah, it kind of gives that kind of feel with a bit of red on there.
I need a Halloween list of movies to go through. Erica Gloom says this is Adobe, not Blender. So yes, I guess kind of on that note, the model was obviously developed in Blender. So did you have to pull that model now into this Adobe, or is this somehow plugged in directly to Blender, or how did that work?
Yeah, so you make your model in Blender and then you export it as a .gltf file, and then you can import that within Substance Painter and start doing your thing there. As long as you got your UV maps unwrapped, then it'll be fine.
So you start everything in Blender, make what you want to make, unwrap it, export it, pop it in here, and then do all your texturing here.
Yep, that's it.
And then when you export from here, you still export as a GLB file and can directly then bring it into Decentraland, or do you need to, for some reason, like pop it back into Blender?
So from Substance Painter into Blender, you'll export the textures and then just apply the textures to your model, and then everything all works out.
And so I guess when you apply, you would do a UV unwrap. Oh, look at that. That's really cool. That other wearable I really liked. I want to know how you, Dapcraft, I don't mean to get sidetracked, but one thing that I really like and that Dapcraft does in some of their scenes is how when you turn around this avatar, it's constantly outlined in black. Like it just makes it pop. Like, how did you get that?
So to get that, what you got to do is just basically selecting the entire model. Let me see if I can undo it. Yeah, so you select the whole model, Shift D to duplicate it, and then you can press P to remove it from the selection, and then Control E and you extrude along normals. and then you need to change the material to black, and then flip the normals inside out. Yeah, I could do with extracting a little bit more there, but
So how did you get it like perfectly just so it's on the edges?
So it seems like something's overlaying here. I'm not sure why that's. Oh, I know why. It's because it's kept an inside to that, perhaps. So yeah, you just got to make sure you just got the outer line edge of it, whereas here I've got an inner edge as well. If I can get hold of just that. Yeah, so you just delete the inside.
That is,
yeah.
I love that look. I think that is such a cool, like, I don't know why. It's just maybe something that I hadn't really seen before in Decentraland. It's kind of like a different style all in itself of artwork and experience, I think.
Yeah, it gives it a nice effect because it gives that kind of pop art cartoony effect.
Yes. Yes, that's exactly it. Pop art. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah, Dapcraft are really good at it because they've, in all their textures as well, they've got a kind of really print like comic kind of style of texturing. So they've got like lots of small dots to make the colors and kind of stuff.
So I guess I know we were originally talking about somebody Erica Gloom says, is it grease pencil?
I was using Adobe Substance Painter for the texturing. So this is Adobe Substance Painter.
Is I don't know what grease pencil is. My ignorance precedes me, but I'm assuming that's another software.
And yeah, this is to make the outlines. It's just inverted normals, and then you make it black. So when you're looking, you do backface culling. So when you're looking through the back of the normal, you can't see it, and then when you see the front of it, which is what's behind the model because you've inverted it, then you get that black. So it's always an outline rather than having the black.
Oh, okay. That just clicked for me. Okay, that makes sense. That's really cool. So with this model right here, I know one of the things that we haven't talked about a lot in this is like just in general in the Sandstorm streams is like baking and whatnot. And I'm just looking at like the teeth or tentacles that are kind of coming off of this face. And I'm wondering how much of that look is actually from the 3D model itself, and how much of that look did you do through texturing or some sort of baking?
So well, for this, I'm actually collaborating with an artist called Haunted Fort. So this is one of his designs. He drew it, and then I made it in 3D for him. And I did quite a cheeky way of doing the UVs on this one. So these are his drawings, and then I just projected it on. So if you select any of your mesh there, oh, it's the wrong UV, I think. Let me find that.
And so, like, when you're given a piece of artwork like that and you need to match it, how do you go about making the 3D model and making it perfectly match?
So when you're making a 3D model to a design, you normally just start with a square, have the image behind on a plane. So let me just do that now. So what you normally do is have a plane in there, rotate that on the X by 90, and you'll apply this here. So if you're doing this, you just start with a cube. So add mesh, cube. And then from there, you just start making the shape.
Wow.
Just normally I'd cut it in half to put the mirror modifier on there. But yeah.
You and Cyclopa love your mirror modifiers.
Yeah, it just saves half the job, doesn't it?
So you guys, interesting. So you're just using a bunch of loop cuts here?
Yeah, you just keep adding loop cuts to as you need more to make more detailed mesh. And then you look at it from a different angle, because obviously I've got two angles here. I just got to kind of make it look decent really on the side. It's because it's all a kind of rounded mesh, you can get away with just a bit like that, and then you pull the front out and then just keep going in like that. Add some more in for the eyes.
So you're already thinking about kind of what's behind this image and what you're going to need to do there.
Yeah, and you can go here, viewport display, change it from texture to wide, and then you can really see what's behind. And then you've got stuff like loop tools, which you can activate in your preferences. Because there's a lot of tools within Blender that are in Blender to start with, but you have to kind of actually activate them in your add-ons before you can actually start using them. So if you type in loop there, add loop tools, then you get some really useful kind of stuff. So you can just instantly make nice circles like that. And then that's where you start and form for the eye socket. And yeah, you just keep going like that until you've created the shape you need. And then what I did was project it. So once you select all of them, you can right click on it, press U, and then project from view. And then that's just the mesh, exactly how it is looking in here, but flat.
Wow, you made this, you made quick work of this, I will say. Man, that's really cool. So like, what about for the sides? Did you just use the same coloring, or how did you make sure the texture came through on the sides when you only have a front and back view?
So you just make sure that the peak of the radius is at the edge of the texture. So if I unhide that, so if we see here, so here are my UVs. So I've just made sure that they kind of adhere to the edge of that. So the UV that's running right, the widest point of it, that will be this vertex over here. So that way it doesn't pull and stretch too much, and you can get away with these kind of little sneaky cheats, I guess.
Sneaky cheats by Sango. I love it. I know it is 12:30 for me, much later for you, but I know you had a hard stop. I just wanted to say, if anybody, Alpha Owls, for somebody with little to no Blender experience, how should we approach it? By watching the previous SandStorm Blender tutorials we did. Just kidding. But I mean, that is very helpful. Yeah, I was just wondering, before you go, or you still have to go, right? Because I mean, at this point, I could just watch you dev all day.
I've got 10 more minutes if you want to go for 10 more minutes.
10 more minutes? Okay, yeah. Sango will be with us for 10 more minutes. So if anybody does have any questions, like specifically about some of the tools that he's shown or how he's going about developing these things, please drop it in chat. And Alpha Owls, I will talk a little bit more about approaching Blender at first once Sango hops off. I also see we have Tum4Y1. What is up? How's it going? But Sango, getting back to this, yeah. So when I guess let's talk about like the depth and everything, because you're getting just these flat images. So are you just eyeballing it and you're like, that seems like an eye socket, or that seems like the depth that I want these teeth or teeth to be?
Yeah, it's all trial and error really when it comes to 3D to get the initial shape. And there's lots of moving about, especially if you're doing it to a design like this. But a lot of the time, I will start from 2D images. Sometimes I've done from designs which are just like one front off, like this one on the left, just one front image, model it through there. But most of the times I'll be making the textures my own. It's just I really wanted this to hit the style of Haunted Fork, so I left his pen marks in there. Because when I was trying to add the texture myself, because of our pixel limit of the textures, it wasn't looking so good when I was coming to draw in, because Haunted Fork, he actually does his with pens. He doesn't do it in Photoshop or anything. So
like with pens, as in like on paper?
Yeah. So
revolutionary.
Yeah, definitely check Haunted Fork out. He's got some great design. It's great for this time of year as well.
but wait, so this drawing here, this image that you're using, was drawn on paper?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know why that's surprising to me. I guess like just the maybe like the vibrancy of the green. I don't know. It's just like, it's hard for me to believe that was done on paper. That's awesome. And then what, he just takes a photo of it and crops out the edges and bada bing, bada boom. Now you have what you need to work with.
Yeah, that's how it went.
Man, I'm learning a lot today. So let's I guess quick question. So I know the other wearable from Halloween is already out and published. Saw you wearing it, but what about this one? Is this one available?
Yeah, this is available as well. This one, I think it's going for 10 mana.
And when you were submitting this, did you get it through on your first try?
I did, yes.
You did?
Well, I forgot to mention at the beginning, I'm a curator for the wearables team on Decentraland as well. So I'm well versed in all the different bits that need to be in place.
That is true. I guess a curator, for anybody that doesn't know, when you submit a wearable to Decentraland for publishing, it costs $150 worth of mana. And the reason for that is because there are certain limitations for all of the wearables. So there's a team of curators, Sango being one of them, that go through all of the model submissions. And if there are any particular issues, then they will point those out and ask you to correct them prior to it being approved for publishing in Decentraland. But so I guess, Sango, when was the last time you had an issue with a submission? And have you had an issue since you've been a curator? Like, is there anything that you just like completely forgot about and just let slip?
Well, normally our workflow in Metazoo is I'll make the design and then I pass it through to Zoo to kind of upload and submit. And normally, if I've just forgot anything, then he'll catch it up there. So sometimes I'll forget to hide hair or whatever it may be. So with that model, it needed hide head, facial hair, and hair. So sometimes I might forget to hide one of those things, but it's normally pretty on. I don't think I've had an issue since being on the team.
Nice. And I see you've now got a Metazoo build up.
Yeah.
Was what was currently where the Halloween is now?
Yeah, this is what was on the Halloween plot, and it probably what will be put on after the Halloween plot's done as well, because we've not used it that much, so it's still got some life in it. So with this one, I just used texture, seamless textures for the concrete and stuff. But another way to do them would be to use these color atlases. Let me see if I can pull one of those up.
I love this pattern you have. And while you're trying to pull that up, Alpha Alves does have a question. Has it been more stressful for the curators with the introductions of emotes, or is it pretty much the same momentum with wearables?
I find it a lot easier to do, because you don't have to leave the editor to see how the animation plays, whereas with wearables, you have to actually go to see in world to see whether normals are flipped, or to fully get the feel of how it moves with the mesh. Whereas with the emotes, you just load it up in the builder, play it, see if it's all good, and then pretty much done. If there's nothing that needs changing, you just got to make sure if it's not a loop that the first and last frame are the idle pose, or if it is a loop that it loops nicely.
I guess, is there a lot more work now though? Like, is there more work for the curators with the addition of emotes?
No, on the day-to-day, it seems to be about the same. I'd say it's more when there's stuff like Metaverse Fashion Week and that kind of stuff. Like on Friday before Halloween, there was quite a few submissions, but I think the busiest time we had was the Metaverse Fashion Week. So big events like that bring in a lot of activity, and it gets all the curators all hands on deck, you know.
Awesome. And Yuri does 150 mana cost for the collection or each model inside of it. I mean, you technically could develop a skin, right? Which I'm not sure your other Halloween costume, if that was a skin or not, but yeah, if you have multiple pieces in a collection, then it's 150 per piece. And that's even if you just change the color. Like if you've got a red hat and a blue hat, it's going to be 150 mana per hat. But with that, you can choose to mint 1, 10, 100, 1,000, or 10,000 at no change to your cost, depending on if you're trying to give them away or sell them and how rare you want them to be. But yeah, Sango, back to this build.
Yeah, so I just wanted to show the. So here you can see I've got all these faces here for the purple. They're all shrank down on the UVs here, and this is just a way to really make the most out of space and trim it all down really. So if you just got solid block colors that you want, using a color atlas is the way to go, because then you're not using a different material and texture for each different color. So I've got this whole selection of colors here, and you can just come through, shrink the UV down massively, and just plonk that on the color that you want, and there you go, you got the color. Yeah, use a combination of those two textures, the one for the stones and this like funky little pattern, and then all the other solid colors are just one material, one texture for all of them together, all just placed in different locations. So if I select this orange here, you'll see that there's the UVs for that on the orange.
I will say you guys are probably some of the most efficient builders I know. I remember when I first saw this build in World, and I was like, how did you make it look so smooth and awesome with these limitations? I also forgot that it was what is this, a 5x5?
4x4, I think.
A 4x4?
Yeah.
Very, very well done 4x4. I think it just, like, I love the curved look of everything, and what you probably just went in and shaded smooth for most of the stuff.
Yep, that's it. And then you see all these blue lines here. That's where it's shaded sharp. So to break through that smoothness, if you wanted a sharp edge, you can just select the edge, right click, and then you go mark sharp, and then it's not going to be affected by the smooth shader.
That's awesome. I need to experiment a little bit more with my shit. Well, with basically everything you've gone over today, I think I need to experiment a little bit more. Oh wait, you also use the mirror for this?
Yeah.
Man, I need to start modeling with mirrors too. If some people that are listening wanted to use that color atlas or that color palette you've got on the left, is that something you just Googled and screenshot and popped in, or is there like a best place to get, this image?
So this one is, I think it was actually made by the DCL team, and it's available in their docs. So if you go in to the docs.decentraland.org.
And what would I like? Yeah,
I'm not sure exactly where it is, but I think it's under either building or wearables. It'll be there somewhere. It's called.
What was the name of this again?
The texture.
Yeah, like what you called it, the color atlas.
It's called a color atlas, but they've named it Genesis_TX in their
Okay,
docs.
I'm going to try to find this and so that we can share it with the group on the call here. See materials. But this is awesome, man. And I know we're already over our second time limit for you, so I don't want to keep you any longer. I know you got stuff to do, but any last comments? Anything that you might have coming up for either yourself or the Metazoo that you want to plug before you hop off?
Well, I think the next big event we're going to do is a Christmas event, so keep your eyes peeled for an interesting build for that. And yeah, you know, don't feel kind of like touted over by these kind of things and making wearables and that. As long as you're learning the basics of mesh manipulation and modeling from a cube, you're going to do good. It's all the basics of low poly modeling, and I'm sure you can get the hang of it quite easy. There's plenty of resources out there on the internet, and yeah, it's all applicable.
Yeah, absolutely. I think those are some great pieces of advice. Well, oh, and you guys, of course, have another event this Friday, right?
Yeah, every Friday we have events. So come down, check out some cool tunes and some music, and yeah, I'll post my Sketchfab link. I'll put that in the private one. I'm not sure how to post in the comments on this app, so you can push that forward if you want.
Yeah, Slitterate will get it.
Nice one.
But awesome. Yeah, thanks again so much, Sango, for hopping on, and thanks for all the work that you do in Decentraland. It's really awesome.
Thanks for having me, guys. Take care, everyone.
Yeah, later, man. Well, that was something special. I love anytime I get to talk with Sang. He's always so busy. He's actually one of the people on my current team. He's doing my my wearables for the grant that we have out, and this is another wearable that him and I kind of worked on together in the past for Ethermon, but. Yeah, him, Zoo, and Cozy, they develop a lot of pretty cool experiences, I will say, and they create their own DJ lists. So mixes, and so every Friday you can come to the zoo, and there will be new sets that are on, new deployments, and just crazy things that are going on. But I know some of you. Oh, Brandon Manis, yeah, Metazoo is iconic. It is probably like Metazoo is almost as iconic to me as I think Decentral Games is at this point. I think I probably knew Metazoo before I knew Decentral Games, actually, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, I think he said they're on week 82, so 82 straight weeks of Friday events without missing a beat, which I'm now just realizing is over a year of straight events. That's going on a year and a half, I think, which is nuts. But if any of you do have questions for Sango, even though he's not on, and I most likely won't be able to answer them, feel free to drop them in the Discord or drop them in this chat, and maybe we can get him on again, or we can have or I can post, some responses on his behalf in the Discords. That's a lot of work to go consistently like that. Yeah, I mean, these guys are awesome. Let me tell you. But we do have 13 minutes left, it looks like. So I see I feel like a lot of new people in here that I haven't seen before, which is awesome. So I do want to go over the Decentraland Builder Contest number 5 that we have going on right now. Oh, it looks like I'm sharing the wrong screen because I'm a jabroni. Cynthia Gabriel, how's it going? What is up? Okay, so we are on the Sandstorm site now, and under the view builds, if we scroll down a little bit, we can see there's only one bid. What? On DCL contest number 5. This is a much bigger build. Or I guess it's technically the same size as number 4 because it's 4 parcels, but there's more things that are involved in it. So you found the lost fountain, you drank from it, you woke up on the island, which was the lost island, and now you're lost, but you're not alone because you've gone crazy and you have developed a friend from island materials, and you and that friend have decided to throw an island party. So out of the island materials, develop your friend, make the entertainment area, which does have restrictions. So while you can take full advantage of the try count from a 4 parcel build, you'll want to make sure that with your island entertainment area, you're keeping it within the 8x8x5 meter range. Then some party snack, and of course, an animation for an avatar. So in the past, we had just required, animations in general, but this one requires a specific animation for an avatar, which is an emote. And we did put a couple of videos out about that as well, emote creations. This is going to be 10 winners. So in the past, it was 5. But the deadline is on November 4th at 11:59 p.m. UTC. So that's this Friday. And the bottom 5, so 6th through 10th place, will all receive 250 USDC. And we were just talking about the publishing fees. So if you were to place, 10th, you would still have enough to go ahead and publish your emote to Decentraland, for example, if you wanted, and maybe kickstart your emote or wearable career on the Decentraland front. I also did want to address quickly Alpha Alves. I'm going to be honest, I do not know which one it is, but I like the name. If I go over to the Sandstorm YouTube, just looking at some of the videos we have here. So we do these streams every week, and they have gotten kind of progressively more involved in terms of Decentraland development. So I know your questions were specifically about Blender. Most of the work that we do for Decentraland is in Blender. That's, for your animations and for your emotes and for your 3D modeling. But if you check the either Sandstorm Discord, we have a DCL education channel that shows the different, and actually maybe I can pull that up here too, just to show you. If you join, I'm not even sharing that screen. Oh boy, that's okay. But in the Discord, there is a channel where there's some educational videos. And I would say for Blender and getting started with Blender, there are a lot of YouTube videos that are out there that will teach you amazing Blender skills, but you do want to take into consideration what you are building models for, because every metaverse and all these different platforms do have different constraints and requirements. And so towards the end there, Sango was talking about the efficiency with developing low poly models, and then also leveraging single images as textures that can be applied to various parts of your build. And so learning Blender within the confines of where you're going to be developing is always the best approach, in my personal opinion. But there's just a ton of videos that are out there, and I see you say you kind of want to check out Sandbox again now. Yeah, Sandbox is awesome. They've got a great game builder too. Yuri, how can we put an emote in a test scene? It shows only in the preview. Well, I'm trying to think here. Yeah, I mean, if it shows in the preview, then that, I guess, is what you could use for the submission, right? So if you were in the previewer, you could, for example, screen record, and that emote would be playing in the previewer, unless I'm misunderstanding the question. But yeah, I'm thinking that in order to showcase the scene being deployed and having that animated avatar in there, you don't technically have to have it as an emote. You would just export the avatar as as an animation, and then you would drop that avatar in as a separate model. You would place that avatar then in the scene on top of your other island model, and then access the previewer that would show the animation, and you can screen record that as a portion of the submission. I know some people asked last time, and some people stated, we want to really heavily weight what these things look like in Decentraland versus just the Blender render. So having all this stuff showcased in the DCL test scene is definitely important. But if you want to showcase something special in the Blender render as well, go for it. Just make sure you also include the deployment in Decentraland. And I see Dr. Token is on. What is up? I think that's I feel like this is the first time I've seen a lot of people in chat, but it's awesome to see everybody hopping in. So yeah, if you're interested in winning thousands of dollars to develop experiences that you can then leverage to do whatever you want, check out the builder contest number 5. Oh, and another reminder that I'm meeting with Ozcom this week, and we will be setting up a GitHub repository. So anybody that has made past submissions for contests will have the option to have their models included in that repository. But if you don't want to, that's fine as well. And then I believe it's the same for this contest. I might have to clarify that. This contest might be a requirement that it goes in the repo, but I think everybody has an option. So yeah, only one bid. 9 more people are guaranteed to win at least a minimum of $250, which is awesome. But any questions from the crowd? We're getting towards the top of the hour here. Nope. No more questions? Okay. Well, Slaterade, is it tomorrow or is it Thursday that we're doing the Decentraland stream? I think it might be tomorrow. It is tomorrow. So check us out tomorrow as well. We will be going through Decentraland and going through a lot of the new games that are out or updates and different events that are going on as well. I love how Erica Gloom knows it and I didn't know it. Yeah, so instead of an educational stream tomorrow, we will be just bouncing around Decentraland, checking out the different games that are available, and maybe talking a little bit about how they were created, or some specific element that really stands out for those games. Try to build something in 3 days. LOL, Yuri. 3 days? That's that could be a lot of time. There's only one submission, so I mean, right now, you've got some pretty good chances if you're putting something together in the next 3 days. But all right, I will catch you all tomorrow, and I believe it's the same time. Let me just verify that too. Slaterade, is it at 1 p.m. Eastern tomorrow? LOL, it is. Okay, yes. So I will catch everybody at 1 p.m. Eastern tomorrow for our Decentraland stream. And thanks everybody for joining us today. Have a good one.